Hey everyone, good morning. Camera's on. Got a lot of people today. All right. Nitsa, Arthur, Philia, Danny, Nidia, Pete, Nady, Juan, Tiana, Leonard, Reza, what's up? Sam, Camera, Alexis, I see you, Vanessa. All right, cool. Sure you guys have your cameras on, pointing at you. Alexis, you don't have to do your hair for the camera, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And Nidia too, like adjusting a little bit. And you need to. Okay. All right, guys. So today we're gonna go over Chapter 6, transferring and recording title to real estate. Before we start, do you guys have any questions regarding the previous chapters? I know some of you were watching the replay of the previous chapters, so wondering if you have any questions, drop them now before we start. One can't hear me. Can everybody else hear me? Sound is okay? Yeah, so let me just give a note to one. Okay. So again, if anybody has questions, you can always drop them in the Zoom chat. If you're watching on YouTube, you can always drop in the live YouTube chat. Okay. It's always the challenge with Zoom classes. You're waiting to figure out if somebody's typing. Hey Tiana, I see how it is. I grab my mug to drink coffee. You have to grab yours too. Jealousy is a really bad sin. Just saying. Envy, jealousy. All right. So, I don't see any messages coming through, so I'm going to assume that there are no questions. You guys are 100% on the first 5 chapters, and we're going to move on to Chapter 6. So, transferring and recording title to real estate. So, we're going to talk about what is title to real estate, what are deeds of conveyance, what are wills, involuntary title transfer, that means you lose the property somehow, right? And title records. Now, in terms of title to real estate, there's 2 different types of titles that we can have. There's the legal title and equitable title. The difference is very simple. Legal means owner of records. Okay? And equitable, I have an interest in the property. Okay, so I'm not the owner of record. So legal title, I'm the owner of record. My name is on title, therefore it's the legal ownership, right? Equitable title, I have an interest in the property and I can claim the property. Okay, so but I'm not the owner of the property. So legal title, I'm the owner. Equitable title, I have an interest, but I'm not the owner. I'll explain that better when we get to those points. Okay, so owning title to real property commonly connotes owning the complete bundle of rights that attach to the property, including the right of possession. Do you guys remember the rights? We went over this the very first day, right? Anybody remembers the rights that you have, the bundle of rights you have when you own property? Ah, Bruno, too early. Already asking questions. Come on, give us a break. Right? That's a thought in your mind right now. What titles? Just mention one. Just mention one. You don't have to write all of them. I'm pretty sure between everybody we'll have different rights being described. Boom. Rising for the win. Possession. We got one. Thank you, because it was right here in the book. Yes. Including the right of possession. That was perfect. I like how she took advantage of that. The right to use the property in any legal manner. Yes. What else? The right to transfer, to gift, to sell the property. Absolutely. Okay. What else? Anybody else? Without flipping back pages. Okay, Martin? I see you flipping pages. The right to encumber. That means the right to put a mortgage on it, if you, for instance. Yeah, absolutely. There's only one important right missing. You have the right of possession, great. The right to use, the right to transfer, so gift or sell or alienate. The right to encumber, put a lien. The right to exclude. It's our property, and if we want to say no trespassers, then no trespassers. You're not welcome here. You're only welcome here by invitation, right? So the right to exclude. Very good. So when we are the owners of record or the owner on title, we have the full bundle of rights. We have the 5 rights, okay? So more accurately, someone who possesses all ownership interests owns legal title to the property. Now, legal title is distinct from equitable title. Equitable comes from equity. Equity means a financial or valuable interest in the property. Equitable means there's value, okay? So having a valuable title or valuable interest means that you have a right to obtain title to the property. See, I don't have the title, but I have the right to obtain title to the property in accordance with the sale or mortgage contract between the legal owner and a buyer or a creditor. See, during the contractual period of time, when ownership of legal titles contingent upon the contract, the buyer or lender owns equitable title to the property. So it's very simple. What's going to explain here is very simple, that when I put an offer on the property, if the offer is accepted, I'm the buyer. I put an offer on the property. If the property is accepted, during the contract period, so until we close, I have what's called equitable title as a buyer. You are the seller. You are the legal owner of record. So you have legal title. I have equitable because I have an interest or a claim to a property. Okay? What does that mean? While we're under contract, guys, while we're under contract, can you, the seller, sell the property to anybody else? We are under contract. Can you sell to anybody else? The answer is no, you cannot. Right? So that means that I tied up the property so much that you cannot sell without me agreeing to walk away. Does that make sense? The moment I put an offer and you accept, it's under contract. Under contract, I have equitable title. That's it. I have the right to claim the property or abandon the property. If I abandon it, then you can do whatever you want with it. But until I do, or until we close, the seller cannot do anything else with the property. You guys understand? That's what equitable title means. I have an interest or a claim to title on the property. Now, if there's a mortgage company also has equitable title to the property. There's equity, there's value, right? And the seller cannot sell the property without satisfying or without paying off the mortgage. Make sense? Thumbs up if it makes sense. Good. All right. Edith, I see today is your first day, so I'm going to say a lot of things like back in the day I used to say please highlight if you had the book. All right, we have some people that are from back in the day. I used to say please highlight all the time. Now, because everything is virtual, I can only say makes sense. Do you guys understand? If you have any questions, that's it. That's pretty much all I say now. And really bad jokes, so I'm giving you a heads up. It was for Marta already felt from 2 days ago, and today is you. But anyway, keeping you guys entertained. Juan, can you hear us now? Juan? Salgado, can you hear us? Still issues. All right. So, in practice, the terms title and legal title are often used interchangeable. And in any legal system that permits private ownership of real property, there always be disputes as who truly owns a particular parcel of real estate. For example, the owner might sell his property to 3 unrelated parties. The first party buys the property at the earliest date, so he's the first one there. The second party pays the highest price, and the third party receives the deed, the best deed, which is the warranty deed. So in this scenario, if the seller sold to 3 different people, and yes, it's illegal, but let's assume the seller sold to 3 different people. If the seller sold to 3 different people, who has the legal title? Who's the one that actually owns the property? Let me hear your thoughts on this. The first one, right, is the first one. Like 5 days ago, I sold to John. Okay. Then the next day, I sold the property to another person because they gave me the highest price. And then the following day, or even the same day, I gave the property. I gave the property to another person, but I gave him a warranty deed. So who owns legal title to the property? Is it going to be, let's call this guy John, let's call this guy Adam, and this one right here that has the warranty deed, we're going to call him Steve. Random names. Is it John, Adam, or Steve? Who owns the property? YouTubers, if you're watching, you can also participate in the questions. All right, so we're getting different things. Let's see. The one with the deeds. John. Steve? Right, Zanini, that's what I felt, the question mark. Steve, right? Okay, right. Just want to make sure. It's tough. I don't hear your voices, so I have to enact, you know. We have John, Steve, John, Steve, first person. All right, I don't care what the name is, it's first person or affiliate. I got it, okay. If it's under contract, here it doesn't talk about contracts. Let me go back. It doesn't talk about contract. It says I sold. So that means I gave the deed to you. So beyond contract. So who owns it? Is it the one that got it first? That paid, right? Is it the one who paid the highest price? Or the one that received the deed? Some of you already answered. I'm just waiting for a few more. All right, Jonathan says either John or the one with the deed. Okay. Razor says Steve. Find out. Okay. So here's what you need to understand. Ownership of legal title is a function of evidence. It's a function of evidence. So, just by saying that, who do you think owns the property? Without saying anything else, who do you think owns the property? Is it John, the first one? Is it Adam, the highest price? Or is it Steve with the deed? See? Now it changes things, right? Now who was there first? The one with the deed. So Sam for the win. She was the first one to answer that. All right? So the court will generally rule for the person who has preponderance of evidence of ownership. That is the owner of the property. An example, in the first 2 buyers, they did not receive the deed while the third party did. So the third party may have the best evidence and be ruled as the legal title holder. However, everybody's celebrating. However, what if the first buyer had moved into the house and occupied it for 6 months before the original owner sold the property to the second and third buyers. Or, what if the second buyer, after searching records, reports that the seller never really owned the property and therefore could not legally sell it to anyone? Now, who owns the property? You see, guys, it's very, very difficult to say. This is why we do title searches. This is why we pull a bunch of records. Yep, bros, it would be the one with the deed immediately. Absolutely. Sorry, I'm just addressing YouTube. So, but then we put these other conditions here. You got to remember a couple of things also. The one with the best evidence. So the deed is a great evidence, but possession is 9/10 of the law. So if this person occupied for 6 months, been there, right? That's another function of evidence. If this person's been there for 6 months and the deed was given after those 6 months, then who really owns the property? Could the seller really have owned it when Adam checked the records and said, "You're not even the owner of record. What are you selling to me?" I mean, let's figure out now. How many times have you heard of stories, right, of people selling things that don't belong to them? Right? This doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the school. But I can sell it to you, right? If you buy it, I was still the seller, you were still the buyer, but there's no evidence that this was ever mine. You understand? So that's the thing that can get confusing in real life when you're researching records or when you transferring title. It becomes very confusing. So technically, guys, any of these answers would have been correct. It could have been John, Adam, or Steve. It's just the one with the best evidence is the one that's going to win when we go to court. Okay? So the illustration underscores the difficulty of proving title to real estate. There's no absolute or irrefutable proof that the party holds legal title. So our legal system has developed two forms of title evidence. It's called actual notice and constructive notice to assist in the determination. Okay? The term notice is synonymous, so if you ever see notice, is synonymous of knowledge. So when you say actual notice, that means somebody has actual knowledge of what's going on. Okay? When there's actual notice, that means somebody has actual knowledge of what's going on. I'll give you an example because the next one is going to be constructive notice. But I'll give you an example. Actual notice. As you guys are learning, or as you guys are reading, or as you guys are seeing, right? You now have actual notice, right? Whether you remember or not, that doesn't matter. When you go to court, it does not matter, right? Whether you remember or not. The info was there, you went through it. So, actual notice. Does that make sense? You guys were in school before, right? You went from kindergarten all the way to high school or even college. You probably don't remember 90% of what you learned, but that's not an excuse anymore because you did learn. All right? That's actual notice. You did go through it. Very important. So when somebody pulls a title search like Steve, right? Adam, the second buyer, right? When Adam did the title search, he now has actual notice of the circumstances, right? The other two don't. Because John and Steve did not do a title search. So what John and Steve have, it's called constructive notice. Oh, wait, Bruno, you said notice is knowledge. If notice is knowledge, that means they know. No. Constructive notice means, guys, that the information is available. Okay? Information is available. If you research or not, it's still not an excuse because it was available. Right? So, I'm not sure if you ever heard this phrase, but ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you ever go to court or getting sued by someone, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You know why? Because the laws are clear, widely known, meaning you could have researched and know what you should do or not do. Right? You could have done that. The laws are clear and widely known. Just like this book. All of you here have access to the book. All of you here have access to the replays. All of you here have access to the resources that are in our student portal. The fact that you haven't read it yet, the fact that you haven't watched replays yet, the fact that you haven't used the resources yet, that's on you. But the information is available. That's what constructive notice is. Once you go through it, you'll have actual notice or actual knowledge. But as of right now, you guys know that it's available. Okay? So constructive notice or legal notice is knowledge that of a fact that a person could have or should have obtained, meaning it was available. The foremost method of imparting constructive notice is by recordation of ownership documents into public records, specifically title records. Since public records are open to everyone, the law generally presumes that when evidence of ownership is recorded, the public at large has received constructive notice. So as soon as we file into public records the deed that says, I, Bruno Quintella, own this property, right? As soon as I file it, it's available for all of you to know. So the person that wants to buy the property, most states have something that imposes the buyer to be the one to do the search. Some states don't. The seller has to provide. But it's still available regardless. The moment I record it, you want to know something about that particular property? Title records, land records. It's available. It's not an excuse for you to get to the closing and say, oh, I didn't know. Not an excuse. Does that make sense? So, guys, what's the difference between actual knowledge and constructive knowledge? Whether you know it or you should have known it. That's the difference. Okay? Either way, information is available. It's either your research and you know it, or you didn't research, but it was available. Jonathan, we are on page 73. See? And Jonathan now has actual notice. That's the difference. Any questions on this? There's going to be questions in the school or the state exam, right? Questions regarding what's constructive notice and what's actual notice around this. So make sure you understand the difference between them. Actual notice, it's knowledge that you have of something. Constructive notice is knowledge that you should have acquired. It was available. Okay? All right. Ruth says on YouTube, this was in the exam I took yesterday. There you go. Point taken. Question will be there. I got 5 people watching on YouTube. Guys, if you have questions on YouTube, please participate. The reason why we do YouTube, so those of you that might not know, the reason why we do YouTube is to help others from other schools. If I can, that'll be great. And also questions that you guys ask will help my students as well, which sometimes are too shy to ask questions. So we help each other. All right, let's see. Jonathan, is the one online the same as the physical copy? You have first edition or second edition? Can you check if it's first or second? There's only a few pages difference sometimes in each chapter. 13th edition? Then you have the Dearborn version. We don't use Dearborn anymore. We used Dearborn in until I think August was the last time. Then we switched. We now have if you go here to the student portal and you scroll down, it says right there, download ebook. Okay, and it's this version. If you want the physical book, you can order online. I can send it to you, the link to order online, and we'll ship it to you, or you can come pick it up at the office. For now, I'll share here, guys, for whoever did not download yet. So it's in the group chat right now. Hold on just 1 second, please. Tara, a little off topic, but I need help with statute rules governing licenses activities. What can I review? My score was 13. Tara, do me a favor. Take down my number and send me a message on WhatsApp with your score report, because it's not going to be just one section that's going to help you. So I want to see your overall score report so I can help you and indicate which chapters to focus on, especially that particular one that you got 13 out of 22. That particular one ties into a couple more. All right, so take down my number. Is 908-418-8325. Send me a message on WhatsApp, okay? With a copy of that score report. I have some people sometimes go, no, I'm too embarrassed of sending you my score report. Well, it's okay. It's that my job is to be able to analyze and give you pointers on what you need to do. Be embarrassed. Anyway, at least people try. I love when people try. Tara, can you repeat your number? No, I only give it out once. I'm sorry. You can go back in the replay. All right, I'm going to put it right here. Okay. Make sure when you guys send me messages, if you do send me messages and you're not in my my roster of students, when you send me a message, make sure you also include your first and last name and maybe an email. Then I can add you to my contacts and I can always know who you are. Denise, now why are you sharing my number? The nerve that these students have. Look at this. Look at that. No. And with an attitude, because we can't read your handwriting sometimes. I see how it is. I can't with some students. Well, you should understand my handwriting, period. Okay? I did draw it right there. All right, back to this. By the way, it's the only chapter we have today. Chapter 6 is by itself because there's a lot of things to cover, and I want to make sure you guys do understand. Okay? So, you guys already got what's the difference between constructive notice and actual notice, right? As you guys heard from a YouTube student, Ruth said that it was in her exam yesterday. So, things you need to know. Actual notice versus constructive notice. Notice means knowledge. Knowing something. It's available. It's a disclosure, right? Actual, you know about it. If it's constructive, you should have known or you should have checked. Okay? And this is not only for documents, right? You could be, if you don't do a walk through the house, if you buy a property sight unseen, like you see the property, great price, and say, hey, I want to buy it. Boom. And then later on, there's a bunch of problems. Had the chance to inspect the property. Didn't. That was your problem. Does that make sense? If you waive inspections, you walk through the property, but you waive inspections. Same thing. You have actual notice of what you actually know. What you did not know, you had a chance to research. That's why inspections happen. That's why appraisals happen. That's why title searches happen. All these are considered part of a constructive notice. They're available, or you should be able to research easily. You guys got it? It's not only about records, it's general. Okay? Now, transferring title. So, do you guys know another word? By now you should know. Usually I do this with the evening class because they're already way ahead. But morning class, and Nadia, don't answer. But what is another word for transferring that you guys have seen in this book so far? Another word for transferring that I keep on highlighting or keep on circling. Okay, and Senati for the win. There you go. Convey. It was close. Close. E-A-A-E. It's the same thing, right? It was close. But as long as you understand, I really, look, quite honestly, the greatest thing about this business is that the only thing you need to know how to write properly is the names of people and numbers on the contract. That's it. Oh, and the property address. Thankfully, that's the only thing. Everything else you just need to understand. If you understand transferring convey, I don't care how you spell it. It's a great business, I'm telling you. Anybody, doesn't matter what you speak or what you don't speak, anybody can do this business. So, by the way, I'm not trying to put you to shame here. It's just I misspell a lot of stuff all the time. All the time. And I could give it an excuse that English is my second language. I could. But nobody's going to listen to that anyway, right? Bernie, you're teaching. You should know. Sure. All right. Transfer of title. The real estate is called alienation. When the transfer uses a written instrument, it's called conveyance. Now, I'm going to address two things right now. One is alienation, and the other one is written instruments. I'm going to address this word right here, instruments, because you guys are going to see this several times. Okay? Instrument, in this case, is called document. Okay? And again, we're going to go through the English lessons, right? We started off with convey is not with an A, it's with an E. That's the first thing we started off. And now we're going to go into what is instrument. So, messing with you, I'm sorry. So when you see instrument, think about this. What is a musical instrument, right? It's the tool that helps us play music, right? What is a surgical instrument? It's the tool that helps us perform surgery. So the instrument is pretty much the tool that we can use for a particular purpose. So the tool that we use to put in writing that the transfer occurred, right, is a document. It's a piece of paper. You guys understand? So the tool that we use to put in writing or to record stuff is called instrument. A written instrument is a document. You guys got it? Because you're going to see instruments several times. Especially if you go to public records and you're looking for book and page and then instrument number. And you're like, instrument number, what does that mean? It means document number. That's all. Right? They needed to confuse us. That's what it is. Give us more words. Like the English dictionary doesn't have enough words, right? They give us more words to mean the same thing. So instrument is a tool for a particular purpose. If it's a written instrument, it's a document that identifies the conveyance or the transfer. It's a document. Okay? Good so far, guys? Instrument, that was easy, right? Okay. Now here's the tough one. Alienation. Now, alienation, we're going to split it into two real quick so you guys understand one thing. Okay? First word, alien. Okay? First word, alien. And yes, weird, right? Alien. What do you mean alien? Okay. For the transfer of title to exist, there must be an alien in somebody that is of the land. So if you guys remember, right, almost everybody here in the United States and anywhere in the world for that matter, now it's the way it is, but almost everybody here in the United States at one point was an alien, right? Isn't it true? If not directly, indirectly, because if your parents came from another country, they were aliens. If your grandparents came from another country, they were aliens. If their great-grandparents, they were aliens. Alien doesn't mean extraterrestrial, okay? It doesn't mean, as a lot of people think, I come in peace, right? Whatever. So, alien does not mean that. It means foreign. Alien means out of this land, okay? So it's not of this land. So what happens is, I know I'm a geek. Sorry. What happens is you are the owner of record, so you have legal title, right? And your name is Mary, okay? Legal title is to Mary. But then there's an offer, which will become a contract, and the offer is placed by Carl. Yep, ET phone home. There you go. The offer is placed by Carl. See, you guys remember already there's two different things. There's legal title. Let me put a separation here. And there's equitable title. Now, this becomes an equitable title if the offer is approved. So then it's no longer an offer, it's a contract. Okay? So the moment there's an offer, we're just saying, hey, I would like to buy your house. Great. Mary accepted. It became a contract, so now they have equitable title. Are they the owner? No. Are they part of the land? Not yet. So until the actual closing happens, where this name disappears, and it changes to Carl, right? Until the closing actually happens, and this happens, right? Then Carl is alien to the land, foreign to the land, while this person is the resident or the tenant, as we know from before, the freehold tenant. Okay? So somebody that's not of this land is an alien. And if you guys know about this, you are either an undocumented alien, right? Or you become a permanent resident or legal alien, right? So once you become a legal alien, you have the option to become then a citizen and so on. But you're a legal alien. You're allowed to be there. So let's put it like this. An undocumented alien in this scenario is the one that put the offer. Still not fully recognized. Okay? Once Mary accepts the offer, it became a contract. So they're saying, hey, temporarily, you are a legal alien because you have some type of hold on the property, right? The equitable title. Once we complete the transaction, you became a citizen of the land. So it's no longer Mary, it is now Carl. Becomes the citizen or the resident of the land. What do you guys think about that explanation? Did it work? Okay. What do you mean? What was that? Kinda? Alright, just remember. Guys, whoever's watching on YouTube, you can always participate. Just remember, alienation means transfer of land from a resident to the alien. Alienation is when you transfer from the person of title or the owner of record to somebody that was not there before. So an alien. Somebody that had no rights to it before. An alien. Okay? When they come to the land, legally, become the owner of record, they now hold legal title. So they're no longer aliens to the land. So alienation is the transfer of real estate. Okay? Alienation is the voluntary transfer of real estate. That's all it is. When you see the word alienation, it's a voluntary transfer of real estate to somebody that was not part of the land. Okay? So, Nidia, you are going like this. So, Nidia, here's the thing. I sell to you, you are the alien. Okay? Right? You are the alien right now. You're not here. You are the alien. You're foreign. You're not, you have no rights to the property. Okay? Alienation is when I remove myself and allow you to become the resident. You are not of the land, and now you become part of the land. You got it? That's what it is. Your name was never here on title. Once your name becomes the name on title, that's it. I'm out. Alien becomes a resident. Right? So let's change this. Carl becomes a resident, and Mary becomes an alien. You got it? Okay, Carl becomes the resident or the holder of the title, and Mary is now the alien. She was once the resident, but she's now seized of the property, or she can no longer get into the property unless Carl says, hey, come on over, come visit your old house. I destroyed it, but come visit. Right? So they're an alien. All right, Ruth, great. Glad you guys loved it. Okay? Nidia, better? Don't give me that thumbs up was so like Okay, better. Okay, two thumbs up was better. Okay. And no, Nadia, I'm not mispronouncing your name. I have a Nidia as well. Nadia, Nidia. Okay, I know. First time I said Nidia, she goes like, is he really doing that to my name? I saw your face. All right, there's two different types of alienations. Okay? Transfer to title, there's two different types of alienations. Now, alienation is usually voluntary. That's why it's called alienation, is you're selling to that alien person, right? Involuntary, they're stealing it from you, because voluntary is something you want to do. Involuntary, it's taken from you. Now, what is voluntary alienation or voluntary transfer? Well, public grant, where you're gifting part of your property to the government. Okay, that's public grant. Deed, where you're selling or granting to another owner, the alien, right? Or will, where you're gifting the property to your heirs or whoever you designated to receive the property, right? Involuntary, as we're going to learn along the way, there's descent as cheat. As cheat means the government cheats you out of your property because you failed to prepare a will. Okay, I'll explain that better. But this is because you have no will prepared, last will and testament. So the government says, okay, if you have no last will and testament, we're going to distribute the property according to our state laws. And our state laws, first is the wife. If there's no wife, then it's the children. If there's no children, then it's the grandparents. If there's no grandparents, and so on. And if nobody claims, because you have no will, if nobody claims, it reverts to the government by escheat. So the government gets to keep the property. They sell it at a public auction. They hold on to the money, hoping, right? That somebody will show up and say, no, the money's mine because I'm the heir. Well, if nobody shows up, then they keep the money on the house they sold. They used to belong to you, but you failed to prepare a will, so now it belongs to them. Simple as that. Right? But we'll get there in the different chapter. Foreclosure. Foreclosure is also involuntary alienation. Right? Nobody wants to lose the property, but if you don't pay your bills, the tax, the mortgage, judgments, right? If you don't pay them, what can they do? Take you to court and foreclose on you. That's what it is. It's a proceeding in court where they ask the judge to sell the house in order to recover the money that you owe them. Eminent domain is where the government can take your property for public good. Right? So if they need your property for a particular reason, like to build a school, and they need your property, your neighbor, the other neighbor, and so on, they'll ask you to leave. They'll give you some type of compensation. Adverse possession. We talked about this. It's the squatter's rights. right? Where somebody uses your property without your permission for a certain period of time, right? And they can then claim the property in front of a judge, okay? Every state has different laws regarding the time frame. The proceedings are pretty much the same, but in terms of time frames, it could be 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20, right? So you need to know what the laws are there. And then estoppel, as the name says, estoppel is stopping, right? Stopping somebody from being able to collect or move forward on a particular property. But I will explain this part better when we get there. So, voluntary alienation or transfer of title is when you are unforced to transfer. You want to transfer. This is simple. Involuntary is without the owner's consent. You never allowed it to happen, but you're being forced out of your property. You're being evicted, pretty much. Okay? Now we're going to talk about the different deeds of conveyance. And with that being said, guys, what does this word mean? Conveyance. With an E. Sorry, I just saw Sinead's face when I said that. What does that mean, guys? Ruth for the win and Kevin. All right, transfer. Very good. I don't understand, guys. There's like a 2-second or a 3-second lag between Zoom, okay? Between Zoom and YouTube, yet YouTubers answered first. Bad. Really bad. He had a 2 or 3 second lead and they answered first. All right. So, deeds of conveyance. Transfer. Very good. So, what we're going to learn is for a deed to be valid, one of the things to be valid means there has to be delivery and acceptance. So, you cannot just prepare a document. And that's common sense, right? Guys, if I prepare a document right now, let's say this right now, I'm going to prepare it and I'm going to sign it right there. Done. This is a deed. Done. Is this valid? The deed says it's transferable to you. Is this valid if I never give it to you? No. It's just a piece of paper that I signed, but you did not acknowledge it yet. For you to acknowledge, that means you have to accept. So I have to sign it and deliver to you, and you have to either accept or reject it. If you reject it, it's not valid either. It has to be acceptance. So it's not just delivery, it has to be acceptance. Yes, Bruno, I want this house, right? So that is true with almost any document. I cannot prepare any contract without consent of both parties, right? So delivery and acceptance. All right. We're going to talk about the actual validity of the deeds, what makes them valid or enforceable. We're going to talk about deed clauses and covenants. Covenants are conditions, if you want to write that down. Conditions, or even promises, guarantees, and whatever. So what we really agree to. We're going to talk about statutory deeds, special purpose deeds, and then towards the end, very short thing, it's transfer of transfer tax. Okay. Now, a deed is a legal instrument. Instrument, you guys already know, it's the document or tool used to, right, transfer, to document or record the transfer or acknowledge the transfer to another party from the grantor to the grantee. Okay. The execution of a valid deed in itself does not convey title. So like I just showed you guys, I prepared the document. That does not mean transfer occurred. Okay? It is necessary, it's in green, so it's very, very important. It is necessary to be delivered to and accepted by the grantee, so the buyer, for the title to pass. To be legally valid, delivery of the deed requires that the grantor, quick question, Who's the grantor? So to be legally valid requires that the grantor, who is the grantor? The owner, the seller. Very good. So always remember that. It requires that the seller, grantor, the owner, be competent. I'm going to talk about this in a second. Be competent at the time of delivery and intends to deliver the deed beyond the act of making the physical delivery. So I really want to transfer it to you. So the reason why this is here is, you guys remember a few pages ago, we talked about 3 transfers from the same seller to 3 different people, right? So nothing was valid if there was no intent. Neither one of those sales were valid if there was no intent to deliver. When I intend to deliver the deeds to you, right, that means I'm selling to you and to you alone. If I'm going to sell to different people, then I never really wanted to sell to you. So intend to be for that particular person and be relieved of this property. Now, the validity of the grantee's acceptance requires only that the grantee have physical possession of the deed or record the deed. Let me show you something that's very, very important. This word right here. There's going to be a question in the state exam or the school exam. There's going to be a question that talks about a deed, for instance, being delivered to the grandson. Or, I'm sorry, it was not delivered to the grandson. The grandfather prepared the deed, like I showed you guys, I just signed one. Prepared the deed, but never delivered. Okay? He put it in the safe, and then later on forgot about it and sold the property to somebody else. That somebody else went and recorded it. Okay? Now my question is, who's the owner of the property? Is it the grandson that got the deed first, written to his name, or is it the new person that went to record it? Let me know. The grandson, or is the person that recorded? Okay. So the answer is the person that recorded it. But not because it was recorded. As you can tell right here, this is what I want to point out, because everybody went for recorded it. There's only 2 people that said the grandson. But everybody went for recorded it. Recording is not required. Look, or record. What makes it valid is the fact that you have possession. It's mine. It was given to me. The moment I accepted it, it's mine, it made it valid. Okay? Recording is not required. That's why it says or record. The first thing is delivery acceptance. I got it. The grandson never got it because the grandfather put it in the safe and forgot to deliver. Okay? So to make it valid, so Ruth, to answer that, so Ruth is asking, so whoever made it valid? Yeah, but to make it valid, I have to accept it. That's what makes it valid. Okay, so if I give the deed to you and you accept the deed, that makes it valid. Do you have to record it? No. That's what I'm pointing out with the or, because you will make the mistake. In this question was easy because the person accepted the deed and recorded. In this one it was easy. Okay? But in another question that might happen, that's why I was trying to go through this. In another question that might happen, they might ask who has the valid deed and give you 4 options. Somebody that records it, somebody that accepts it, right? Somebody that, they just give you other 2 options there that are not valid at all. But these 2, they're the closest ones to being correct, which is recording it or accepting it. Who has a valid deed? The one that recorded it or the one that accepted it? A deed is valid because it was accepted, not because it was recorded. Recording is an extra step. It's not a requirement. That's what I want you to focus on. Recording is an extra step, not a requirement. Okay? So Nady, you want me to rewind or you got it? Okay, cool. Sorry, I just saw that now. All right, so take good notes of that, because a deed is not valid because you recorded it. A deed's not valid because you've recorded it. A deed is valid because you accepted it. Okay? You said, yes, I want this deed. I got it in my hand. Automatically makes it valid. Okay? Sorry, certain things I repeat 1,000 times because I have to. So, recordation is not a requirement. Okay? Now, if I told you that recording is not a requirement, right? Then why do we record? Why do we put stuff into public records? Because like I said right now, it's an extra step to secure your position in the property. Because when somebody does public the title search, as I said before, they're going to have actual knowledge, right? They're going to have actual knowledge of who owns the property or not, of anything that's against the property or not. It's not a requirement, but it's the extra step. All right? Why? And giving another example, I usually like to talk about the flag. Back in the days when countries were conquering other countries, or discovering other countries, as they call it, right? Countries existed, the land existed, so there's no discovering. But anyway, but when they got there, what was one of the things that people used to do all the time? Flag down, I'm here. I claim this land in the name of the Queen, whatever, if it was Britain. Isn't that what they did, supposedly? So why did they do that? They got there already. Why did they need to put a flag? The flag was the extra step to say we were the first ones. We're the ones entitled to it. Right? So that's pretty much it. Accepting it makes it valid. Recording it is the extra step. All right, Ruth wrote, claim it. No. So it's not the claiming it is when you got there. I got there and I claimed it. Putting the flag down was the extra step to say, I want to make sure everybody knows that we were the first ones here, because when I'm not here, they will see the flag. That's what it is. When I'm not here, they will see the flag. That's what the recording is. Okay? So to claim it was being there, and I claimed this land on behalf of the Queen, like I said. Right? But then the recording, or putting the flag down, is to say, if I'm not here, it's like the constructive notice. Boom. Because if I'm not here and somebody wants to claim this land, they can't. I was here first. That's what it is. Right? And then when somebody records the next, like a second mortgage, third mortgage, a judgment, whatever, they already know and they recognize the first flag that was there, which was yours. First, the deed. And then if a mortgage records after that, they're the first mortgage. If another one records after that, they're the second mortgage. So they understand that they're second, third, fourth. Recording is literally just to ascertain your claim, to be like, it's the extra step to say, no, I was first, period. Got it? Give me a thumbs up if you got it. Okay, great. Let's see what else we have. Sarah says, because they will accept that over a non-recorded deed. Yeah, so Sarah, if I have a deed in my hand, oops, what did I do? If I have a deed in my hand, right, that I accepted it, and this is what makes it tricky, because to be valid, the deed does not have to be dated either, which sucks. And these are the laws of the land from the beginning. It does not have to be dated. It has to be signed by the seller. So this is why it becomes very difficult. Is it the one that recorded? Is it the one that was in possession of the property? Is it the one that did the search of the records? It's difficult, right? But if I have a deed in my hands that was signed by the seller, and I can verify that it was signed by the seller, I have a deed in my hand. Yet, Tara, you have a deed that was recorded for the same property. If you were recorded after I received this deed, then you don't have the right to the property. I will fight, I will dispute, I'll put a claim. I'll take it to court. You recorded something that was not yours. This comes back to the issue that was here when we started, right? When we had John, Adam, and Steve right here of who got the property. Is it the one that got it on the earliest date? Is it the one who paid the highest price, or the one with the deed, right? It seemed simple until I started asking you these questions, right? The deed holder should be the one, or the one that recorded the deed in your example, should be the holder of the property, or the one with rights to the property, right? But the second buyer found out that the seller could not even sell. It was not his property. You understand? So things become very difficult at that point. That's why as soon as you get the property, as soon as you get the deed, it is advisable that you record to take that extra step. I received it today. I record it today. Here's the flag. That's why it's important for you to take that extra step, because if you don't, when I search public records, I still see the previous owner. So answering Ruth's question, it's like a history of the deeds prior. Yes, because if you don't record this deed, right, Ruth, if you don't record this as being the owner, then I still see Tara as being the owner. So Tara sold to you, as an example, but you never recorded. If I go there and say I want to buy the property, I'm going to contact Tara. I'm not going to contact Ruth. You guys understand this? Because that's what I see in public records. So it's not a requirement. Ruth, you are the legal owner of the property because you received the deed. But to make your position stronger, we file this into public records so that anybody that comes after can see, okay, Tara used to be the owner, but the current owner is Ruth. So I can only buy from Ruth. I cannot go to Tara and say, hey, would you like to sell your property? That's no longer yours. You guys get it? No? Oh, okay. Just remember, if you guys are talking to the camera, I'm very good at reading lips, but lately, it's difficult. Too many lips to read. I find it funny. Some people are really okay. Sure. Or some people that are really far away from the camera. Right, Sam? That's fine. You do your yoga poses over there while you're fine. She's crumbled into a pretzel very far away as she's taking notes. I don't know. All right, let's go back to where we were. So, is recording a deed required? No, we got that out of the way. We're good. Great. Now, once accepted, once I receive the deed, title passes to the grantee, to the buyer. Perfect. The deed has fulfilled its legal purpose and it cannot be used again for transfer of property. So that's it. You cannot resell something, right? That deed is over. It's done. If the grantee loses the deed, there is no effect on the grantee's title to the estate. The grantor, for example, cannot reclaim the estate on the grounds that the grantee has lost the deed after it was delivered and accepted. So let's go back to the scenario where Tara sold the property to Ruth, right? If Ruth loses the deed before recording it, right? If she loses it, can Tara say, well, since you don't have the deed, the property's mine? No. All right, so Ruth still has a legal recourse of going to a judge and saying, hey, lost it. I need to recreate this. And Tara will have to acknowledge that she had actually sold. Okay, so there's no way, once the deed is given, the Tara in the scenario is seized of the property, meaning she's now a trespasser if she tries to get in without Ruth's permission. The moment there's the acceptance, that's it, you're out. You guys good with this? All right. So to do so, you cannot return the grantee the property. You have to create a new deed. If you want to give it back to Tara, you have to create a new deed, a transfer. Now, some states use something called a torrents system. We'll talk about it better later on. But the title passes when the deed has been registered on the certificate of title, or and the transfer certificate has been issued to the new owner. So it's something similar to make the best example, it's something similar to the car title, right? You have, I keep on going to this paper. In the car title, you have on one side, you have the title of the car, right? That says you are the owner and this was transferred to you, right? On the other side, you have the bill of sale. So it's one of those documents that's 2 in 1. That's what it is. Instead of having a deed and the title, which are 2 separate things, the title search shows who's the owner, previous owner, and so on. Instead of having a deed and a title, they are attached into one document. So the torrent system is something similar. The deed and the title search or title of records are together into a certificate of title. So when you transfer, it has to be updated in the records. It shows your name and the previous owners into that title. Okay. Depending on the state law, a deed must meet the following requirements for validity. That means it must be delivered and accepted. Very, very important, accepted. Right? Have a competent grantor and a legitimate grantee. That means that the grantor, the competent grantor, the grantor must be living, alive, right? I know it sounds like common sense, but a lot of people commit fraud. Okay? Sounds like common sense, but sometimes to avoid probate, to avoid going to court and figure out who claims the property or not, there's a lot of people that transfer the property after the person died. Okay? So you have to be alive at the time that it was prepared. Not only that, you have to be of legal age. So most states' legal age is 18 or older. And completely incompetent, right? You have to be sane. You have to be of sound mind. You have to know what you're doing. Mentally competent, of sound mind. If the grantor or seller is a corporation, the signing party must be duly authorized. So I have everything under LLCs. I represent the LLC, but I can have somebody else represent the LLC, right? Or the corporation or whatever. But I need to have a document from the LLC saying, as a member of the LLC, I authorize this person to sign on our behalf. Okay, so it has to be an authorized officer, okay, or signer. The grantee, the buyer, must be living as well. You cannot sell to dead people. Okay, must be living as well. Or have legal existence, like a corporation. But does not need to be of legal age or mentally competent. So can I sell the property? Can I sell the property to my son that just turned 14? I can. Right? I can sell the property to him. But I'm going to talk about this later. Once he reaches the age of 18, he can say he doesn't want it. So I can always sell to minors, right? Or somebody that's not 100% competent, right? Because a minor is not considered a sound mind when it comes to contracts or the ways of life, right? So I can sell it to them, but they may disaffirm later on. I'm going to explain that in contracts. It has to be in writing. So a deed has to be in writing. It must contain a legal description, which we'll talk about in a different chapter, and contain a granting clause or a transfer clause. I grant, I gift, I give it to you, right? Hold on, I'll explain that in a second, Tara. The deed must express the grantor's present desire and intention to transfer. So again, the granting clause says, I intend or I will transfer to you, the grantee, right? It must include consideration. Consideration is money, all right? So valuable or good consideration, okay? It has to have consideration. So if I sold you a property, I received something in return, right? It was $300,000, it was $400,000, it was $1 million, whatever. If it was to my son, I did not expect money. I gave it to him because of love and affection, right? It's good consideration. It's not valuable. It's good consideration, okay? Right here, must be signed by the grantor. Look what it says next. And I want you guys to understand, I don't think you've probably understood until now, as I was showing you the papers. The deed must be signed by the grantor. I have it in green. Look what it says next. Does not need to be signed by the grantee. So the buyer does not have to sign this. So this is where, to me, it's a big mistake. This is where fraud gets in play. If the buyer does not have to sign, if the buyer does not have to be a legal adult, if the buyer is not properly identified in the deed, then anybody can duplicate that deed, right? Because later on, when I go sell the property, my signature is not on record, which is fine because it's going to be public records. You don't want to have my signature on public records, right? It's fine. But also, there's no identification of who I am other than Bruno Quintella. Great. Who's this guy that owns the property now? There's nothing. They don't know my previous address. They don't know my social security. They don't know my date of birth. They don't know anything about the buyer other than first and last name. So it's very easy. How many John Smiths are there? Let's say I sold the property to a John Smith. How many John Smiths? Right? The most popular name in the United States. Smith is the most popular name, right? Right after Gonzalez or Rodriguez. But anyway, so Smith is a very common name. Can somebody come and say, well, I'm John Smith? That means that property is mine. That means I can sell the property. And nobody can prove that you're the wrong John Smith, right? Until you put a lawsuit. Until you put a lawsuit and say, no, I have the paperwork here. I'm the one that bought it. I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that, right? Until you put a lawsuit. So can somebody sell something that's not theirs? Well, the way this is, it's very easy. Seller must sign, acknowledging he is who he says he is. Buyer doesn't need to sign. It's just be named there, all right? Okay. And finally, Tara, I did not forget you. I will go back to your statement in a second. And finally, must be acknowledged. Now, not every state requires it to be acknowledged. But what does it mean to be acknowledged? To be acknowledged is to be declared before a notary or authorized person that the signature is genuine. So pretty much notarizing it. Not every state requires this either. Okay, here it says it's a requirement, but not every state. I'm just putting it out there. Not every state requires it to be acknowledged. But, okay, but like it says here, some states require acknowledgement to complete a valid conveyance. Most states require before they will record the deed, and a deed without an acknowledgement therefore tends to endanger one's claim on the property. So if you don't have it acknowledged, it's not a requirement. It's right here. A deed without it endangers one's claim to a property, right? Because I have to go in front of a notary and present my ID and say, yeah, I'm the real John Smith, right? I'm the one that's entitled to sell this property. I have to present something that says I am who I say I am, because that's what an acknowledgement is, okay? All right, let me address something real quick. This I already said to you guys, recording is not necessary, right? We already covered this. But let me address Tara's question. It says, a minor can't sell. All right. Tara, did you do the state exam already? Did you try the state exam already? Just wondering. Let me know. Great. So you're asking that question because there's a question there regarding a 15-year-old, correct? Yes. Okay, I got a big yes. Well, here's the thing. A minor can do anything he or she wants, but can retract from it. Okay? A contract is still valid, but it's voidable by the minor. That's the thing. Can the minor sell? It's his property. Okay? The problem is most states and most laws require them to be 18. I get it, right? But it is my property. So, can I initiate the sale? Yes. Can I retract from it? Will it be 100% valid? No, it's a voidable contract. Voidable contract. So Tara, is it enforceable? No, because one of the parties, the minor, has a disability. The minor is not competent, he's not of sound mind. So it's unenforceable. Valid contract, but unenforceable. Got it? I know almost all the questions in the state exam, I just cannot tell you all of them, okay? But if you ask me questions directly, I will explain those questions from the state exam. But the answer, Kara, it's unenforceable. Okay? He's not competent. I'm sorry, guys. Ruth is asking, but would that be competent? No, it's not a competent party. That is why there's a disability. Whenever there's a disability in a transaction, okay, the one with the disability can void the contract. That's why it's voidable. And the other party cannot sue, unenforceable. For those of you that did not do contracts yet, we will get there soon. There's valid contracts, there's void contracts, voidable, and unenforceable contracts. We'll explain that later. All right? You guys good? All right, we're going to cover a little bit more ground, and then we'll give you guys a break, okay? So, conveyance clauses and covenants or warranties. I know I'm annoying, but what is conveyance? Yeah, Nadia, I got that. Yeah, yell at me. Transfer. Got it. Transfer, very good. All right. So conveyance means transfer. Transfer from one place to another, conveying belts. Transfer from one person to another. It's a conveyance of real estate. So conveyance clauses are clauses that determine the transfer. So for instance, the granting clause. The granting clause is the only required clause in every deed that says, I, the grantor, transfer this property to you, the grantee. That's it. Okay? The other clause that we have is the Abendum Clause. A little weird. But it describes the type of estate to be conveyed. If it's a fee simple, life estate, or any other, like fee determinable or so on. So fee simple, it's a transfer of the property to you forever. You can do whatever you want with it. You guys remember this? A life estate is for as long as you're alive. So the Abendum Clause begins with the words to have and to hold. I'm giving it to you to have and to hold in fee simple, so forever, or to have and to hold for as long as you're alive, or as long as whoever person is alive, right? So Abendum Clause is the one that determines the type of ownership you're going to have. The Redendum Clause, and some of these terms don't show up in the exam, but the Redendum Clause or Reserving Clause or Restrictions or Covenants clauses, right, are the ones that will show deed restrictions, liens, easements, encroachments, where the seller says, so a deed restriction, the seller says the property is yours, but you cannot paint it any other color than pink. The property is pink and it stays pink, period. Okay, that's a deed restriction. The property is yours as long as you don't build any other house here, just the current or existing structure. That's a deed restriction. It's a private restriction. Okay, any existing liens. So if I'm selling to you and you're taking over an existing lien, I would put it there. Easements, encroachments. So easements are rights that other people have on my property. Encroachments, we recognize that there's something that's illegal against the property, but it's there as at the time of sale, and you can dispute it if you want, and so on. So this will recite the restrictions and limitations that we have on the property. So pretty much any encumbrance that goes with the land will be here under the reservation or restrictions or Redendum Clause. Okay. All right. The next one, HOAs are restricted properties. Yep. Can you put air rights as a deed restriction? It has to be there. So if you sell the air rights, if you sell the air rights, the air rights, when somebody else goes purchase the property, we'll say, hey, you own the real estate, right? The whole property except for the air rights above X amount of feet. Yep. So that was sold to person, whatever. Yep, it will be there. Okay. So that would be under easements. The next one is Tandem Clause. It identifies property being conveyed in addition to land. So if there's anything else that goes with the property. Okay. Again, some of these terms don't show up at all in the state exam. It's good to know, but don't show up. Thus, notice that they're not highlighted. You still need to know, but not highlighted. All right, the next thing we have is covenant or warrant clauses. So a warrant is a guarantee or an assurance. Okay? A warrant is an assurance, and this is different from insurance. Okay? See, assurance is I assure you or guarantee that if there's any issues, come back to me. Insurance is, hey, if something is wrong, go claim to the insurance company. So insurance is when we assign risk to somebody else. Assurance is where you assume the risk yourself. So when you have a manufacturer's warranty, you have a manufacturer's assurance that it will work. If there's anything wrong, ship it back to the factory, we'll fix it, send it back to you. That's assurance. There's warranty. Okay? Insurance is if you drop this, it's not our problem. If you drop it, if you broke it, you can claim it with the insurance company. You guys see the difference? I just want to make sure you guys know what assurance or warranty is. Because a lot of people, when I used to ask what a warrant was, a lot of people say insurance. Insurance is assigning a risk to somebody else. Assurance is assuming the risk ourselves. Okay? So why are we talking about this in deeds? Right? Because we're talking about deeds still. Why are we talking about warrants or assurance? Because when we sell the property, we have a few guarantees or no guarantees or 100% guarantee. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about next. So we are assuring or guaranteeing the buyer that there's no issues with the title. Okay? Or we're assuring or guaranteeing the buyer that, hey, while I had it, while I was the owner, no issues. This is what I did, and this is what I promise. The previous person before me, maybe the wrong John Smith, I don't know. But he sold it to me, and while I had it, everything was good. So if somebody prior to me comes and claims the property or any issues with the property, I got nothing to do with that. So full warranty is I'm guaranteeing the past, the present, and the future. Limited warranty, which we're going to go over in a second, is I'm guaranteeing while I had it. And then there's no warranty, and then there's, hey, I don't even know if I own the property. There's 4 different types of deeds, okay? So let's go over the warranties. And these are, again, depending on the type of deed. All right, this is the funniest one. Some people are nice enough to just say, could you please repeat that, right? Other people go like, let me give you the whole story. Could you repeat that? Because I was sneezing and blocked my ears. I really could not hear you. You sneeze from the nose, man. For the people that are new, I'm always picking on somebody. So if you feed me information, I'll pick on you. Just letting you know. Jonathan, what I was saying is that depending on the type of deed that you have, okay? Depending on the type of deed that you have, it's the type of guarantee. You're not sneezing again, are you? Look at me. Okay, I just want to make sure I can see. So depending on the type of deed that you have, will be the type of guarantee or assurance or warranty that you have. So in some of them, you have a full, I don't know how long the sneeze was, so I'm repeating the whole thing. So in some of them, you have a full warranty. That means it covers the past, the present, and the future. Sorry, I'm bad, I know. The past, the present, and the future, right? And we're talking about title. I'm not talking about the condition of the property. We're talking about title, because deed is title, right? The transfer of title. So full warranty covers everything. Limited warranty or special warranty, as we'll talk about in a second, covers only a few things, especially while I had the property. This is what I guarantee. Then there's some deeds that give no warranty other than I know that I'm the owner and I can transfer. Everything else I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has a claim or not. And then there's the one that's called a quitclaim deed, which is, hey, I don't even know if I'm the owner, but here, have the property. All right, so there's 4 different types of deeds that we're going to cover. And these warranties that we're going to go over, right, the warranty of sneezing, is depending on the type of deeds that we have. Okay? All right. I told you, it's really bad jokes, but I have fun at least. Some of you laugh, some of you are like, oh, this guy. Okay. I can even see the people, I cannot see people on YouTube, but I can picture them. Some of them are cracking up and some are like, okay, Bruno, come on, come on. I already know how it is. Too many years in this. All right, so let's talk about warranty season. Now, seizing or season, right, whatever way you want to say it, doesn't matter, is when you're being seized of the property. So I'm assuring, right? I'm assuring, when they talk about season, I'm assuring you that I'm the seller and I can sell the property to you, right? This means that once I sell to you, I have the right to do so. Once I sell to you, me or anybody else loses their claim to the property. So if there was anybody else, right, they would lose their claim to the property as well. This is kind of like what I'm guaranteeing, right? When I say I'm the owner, I'm already saying there's nobody else. I have the right to transfer to you, and when I do, that's it. I'm out of the picture. The next one is the warrant or assurance of quiet enjoyment. It assures the grantee, the buyer, that they will not be disturbed by third-party title disputes. Okay, so you remember that grandson? Remember the grandson, like the grandfather prepared the deed but put it in a safe and never gave it to the grandson? Well, when grandfather died, he went to see what was in that safe, right? And he found a deed to his name. Can the grandson now show up and say, hey, Jonathan, you're the owner of the property, and while you were sneezing, I found my deed? Can he do that? He can. But does he have a claim? Probably not. What I'm telling to you, when I'm selling it to you, Jonathan, with a warranty of quiet of enjoyment, is I'm saying, hey, there's nobody else that will show up and claim the property or has the right to do so. So pretty much I'm kind of like guaranteeing that grandson never had good title in any way. So they cannot claim it. But if they do show up, that's what it means. If they do show up and say, no, I'm the owner. Okay, I'm the owner. Who are you, Jonathan? Get out. I'm the owner. If they ever show up, listen, I'm giving you the guarantee. I'm telling you. I'm the seller. I'm telling you. Anybody that shows up in the future, come to me. I'll dispute their claim because I have my deed as well. So that's pretty much what it is. I have a solid position in the property as I'm selling it to you. Okay? There's the warrant or guarantee or assurance of further assurance. So even further, I guarantee you that if any problems show up later, besides third parties, if any problems show up later as you're trying to live in the property or finance the property or whatever, if any problems show up later, come back to me. I will help you clear the title problems. Back to me. Nobody ever, right? Imagine giving you a perpetual guarantee, right? It's almost like getting on one knee and say we're going to love each other forever. right? Until 5 days later, like, who are you, right? But nobody can ever promise anything forever. We don't even know if we're going to live forever, right? I mean, we know we're not going to live forever, but we don't know when it's going to end. So warranty forever, this is one of the guarantees that come with a warranty deed. Not every deed has this. Only a warranty deed has this. And it says, if at any time in the future you have issues, literally, when you're trying to sell, Jonathan, when you go sell to Sam, when you go sell the property to Sam, and if there's issues at the time of sale, right, that stops you from selling to Sam, I guarantee you, no problem, man. It's been 20 years, no problem. Come back to me. I got you. Or, Jonathan, you sold it to Sam. Sam now is selling to Ophelia, or Ophelia is selling to Juan. And then Juan wants to sell to Danny, but he can't because there's an issue with the title because that grandson showed up. See, Jonathan's no longer your problem, right? Because you sold to Sam. Sam is no longer your problem. You sold to Ophelia, and so on, and so on, and so on. It's Juan's problem because he's trying to sell to Danny and he can't. But Juan has something that he can do. He's going to sue the previous owner. Previous owner is going to sue the one before. All the way up the chain to me. All right? So let me explain this warranty forever a little bit better. If you buy a car today, brand new, 2021 car, which is the funniest thing. We buy cars for the next year even though we're still 2020. But they're the 2021 model. Love it. So you buy the 2021 car today, right? And 2 years later, you say, you know what? I want a new car. Don't like this one that much, or kind of liked it, but I like the new model better. When you sell that car to somebody else, so I'm going to sell the car to you, Jonathan, right? When I sell the car to you, you guys know all the cars come with something called manufacturer's warranty, right? So what it says is, for instance, let's say it's a Kia. You have 10 years or 100,000 miles, something like that, right? So if I sold 2 years later, Jonathan, if I sold 2 years later to you, does the warranty end because it's no longer me, the original buyer? The warranty does not end. The manufacturer's warranty is 10 years or 100,000 miles, one or the other. It doesn't say 10 years or 100,000 miles if it's this owner. The warranty is on the car, not on the owner. Does that make sense? So that's what a warranty forever here would be. When I sold to Jonathan, if something goes wrong with that car, Jonathan can go to Kia directly, the manufacturer of the instrument, right, of the warranty, right? You can go to Kia and say, hey, Kia, I bought this from Bruno, I know, but the warranty is still valid, still under 100,000 miles, and it's still under the 10 years. So please check it out, fix it. Let me go back on the road. You guys understand? So the warranty forever is the same thing. I sell the house to Jonathan saying, hey, title is clear. There'll be no issues. But in the future, whether it's you or anybody else in the future, sell the property to somebody else. If they have issues, come back to me. Right? Because I know you're going to get sued by the next person, and the next person, and the next person. You're going to get sued. So I'm here. I warrant forever. Okay? Warranty of encumbrances, this is normal, is if you're trying to take over a mortgage, an existing mortgage, for instance, or if there's a shared driveway, or if there's an easement on your property to get to the lake, if you guys remember that, right? What I'm saying is, as a seller, what I'm saying is, listen, other than the things that we already talked about it, there's no other encumbrances. I'm giving you the property free and clear of any other issues other than the ones that we agreed already. You know it's a shared driveway. You know they have to get to the lake. You know that there's a mortgage. Whatever it is that we agreed, whatever was our agreement, right? So we're going to put it right here saying there might be more or there's nothing else. In the warrant of encumbrances, we clearly stating there's nothing else that I'm aware or that I gave to you and you're fully aware now. There's nothing else, okay? Warranty against Grantor's Act. This is the most common one. States the assurance of a trustee acting as a grantor on behalf of the owner, that nothing has been done to impair title during the fiduciary period. Okay? So, these are the different types of deeds. We have a bargain and sale deed, we have a general warranty deed, we got the special warranty deed, and we have the quitclaim deed. Okay? So we're going to start with bargain and sale deed. As you can tell, it's very simple. We bargained the terms of the sale, we agreed to the terms of the sale, and the sale actually occurred. So I'm selling it to you. That's it. So in a bargain and sale deed, a straight bargain and sale deed as we call this, in the bargain and sale deed, the grantor, so the seller, covenants or promises or guarantees or warranties or assures you that, and I'm just giving you all the terms that could mean the same, assures you that the title is valid, but may or may not warrant or guarantee against encumbrances or promise to defend claims by other parties. If there is a warrant of defense, the deed is a full warranty and bargain, a full warranty bargain and sale deed, which will be this one. So a straight bargain and sale deed says, hey, I own it, but I won't defend. So you find these a lot in tax sales or foreclosure sales, right? The bank, for instance, has the right to foreclose because they're forcing that sale, right? They have the right to foreclose. They own it for that one day, but they don't guarantee the condition of the title. They're really washing their hands and say, hey, at auction, you're buying this property, right? Or later on, if it's an REO, real estate owned property being sold by the bank, right? Later on, they're just literally saying, yeah, I own it. You want it, it's as is. Title as is. Okay, so if you want to write this down here, we can write in this one is title as is. We're not talking about the property condition. We're talking about title conditions. Okay, so this is all regarding title. Title as is. I own the property, but I won't defend the title. Okay? So if you want to sue the bank later, as far as title, they clearly sold it to you with these conditions. The general warranty or the full warranty deed, right, is, well, used to be the most commonly used deed, or in certain areas still is. But this is like that contains the fullest possible assurances of good title and protection for the grantee. The deed is technically a bargain sale deed, but with a bunch of promises. They're saying, I own and I will defend. Right? What will they defend? All these warranties right here. A general warranty is the one that comes with all these warranties. Okay? And then we have this one. This is the special, or as we know, limited, right? Think about it as limited warranty, because that's what they do with the cars. It's a limited warranty. Okay? It's also known as bargain and sale deed with covenants against grantor's acts. That's what we do here in New Jersey, for instance. That's what it's called. Bargain and sale deed with covenants against grantor's acts. Why? Because they're saying that the grantor warrants only against defects or titles that are not noted on the deed that may have occurred during the grantor's period of ownership. Okay? So what they're saying is that the deed does not protect the grantee, the buyer, against claims that predate the ownership, right? And it does not promise the future either. Doesn't that make sense? Like, let's say I sold my car to Jonathan again, and then Jonathan sold to Sam. Why would Jonathan guarantee to Sam that I acquired the property properly? Why would Jonathan guarantee anything about my ownership? He's only guaranteed that for the 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years that he had it, right? This is what he did. So that's the only type of warranty that people should be giving anyway. Like, while I had it, for those 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, while I had it, this is what I know of the property, and this is what I've done with the property, and this is what I assure you that will come with the property. Does that make sense, guys? So special warranty or limited warranty is literally saying, I know, what I don't know, I don't care. While I had it, I can promise, I can guarantee. Before me, I don't know. After me is on you. You got it? Okay. In New Jersey, for instance, this is the most commonly used deed. Nobody sells their property with a full warranty. I got you if in the future you find out that the land was stolen from the Indians. Yeah, sorry, we never had good title, right? So I'm just giving a ridiculous example, but it is what it is. You guys know very well that there's a lot of ways to steal property, and back in the cowboy ages, right? A lot of land was stolen, or people were murdered in order to acquire the land. Back in the Middle Ages, while people were at war, they were stealing land. Because back in the Middle Ages was even totally different. There was no documents. Back in the Middle Ages was literally just grabbing dirt, represents the land. Here's dirt. The land is now yours. Like, who are you? Oh, I'm from the clan of whatever. Like, this goes all the way back to the beginning of times. There's no way to fully, as we started this chapter, right? There's no way to fully guarantee who the owner is. There's no real way of doing it. We use something called documentary evidence, like the deeds, documented transfer, but there's no real way to actually prove that you had right in the first place. So giving a full warranty, to me, absolutely ridiculous. Special warranties say, hey, it was mine because it was sold to me. I guarantee you while I had it, will makes way more sense. Okay. So I own, but I will only defend against my acts. Only. That's it. Okay, that's a special or limited warranty. And then there's the last one, the quitclaim deed. Now the quitclaim deed is funny. As the name says, I quit claims the property. So if I'm 100% owner, think about it this way. If I'm 100% owner, right? 100% owner. And then let's say I get married. Okay. One of the things that happens in the marriage is, come on, honey, you love me so much. Let's join forces. Add me to your deed. I'll add you to my deeds, right? Join forces. So now we have husband, we have wife. The husband, let's say it was me that owned the property. The husband had to quit 50% ownership to the wife. So for the wife to get 50% ownership in the deed, I had to quit claim part of the ownership, or my claim to the property. I had to quit claim to the wife. So now it's 50-50. You get it? So quit claim is literally me saying, in the future, I don't have full claim to the property. I only have half claim to the property. I'm quitting half of it and giving it to this person or that person. Okay? Or if I were to, let's say, give it to my son, right? If I were to gift it to my son, right? It would be 100% quit of any claims to the property. Because I gifted to him, I'm releasing myself of ownership and I quit the claim to the property. So again, quit claim deed is literally saying I'm quitting an interest or a claim in the property, a claim, interest, right, or benefit to the property, either partially or fully quitting claims. So quit claim deed transfers real and potential interests in the property, whether the interest is known to exist or not. Now the grantor makes no claim. This one says that I make no claim to any interest in the property being conveyed and offers no warrants to protect the grantee. So if I give the property to my son and I was never the owner of the property, I say, hey, here's a property to you, congratulations, now deal with it. I run. Right? Quitclaim does not promise anything. Now, quitclaim is typically used to clear title rather than convey it. Where there's a possibility there was errors, prior errors in the deeds or other recorded documents, which is they might cloud or encumber the title, the relevant parties execute a quitclaim deed to convey any and all interest to the grantee. So you guys remember, I don't know if Ruth and Tara are still here, but you guys remember earlier we said that Tara sold property to Ruth, right? But Ruth never recorded it. Okay. If Ruth never recorded and then she loses the deed or proof or whatever, and then Ruth is trying to sell to me, and I see that Tara is still the owner, then Ruth will have to figure something out. And what is she going to figure out? She's going to have to prepare a quitclaim deed, and that quitclaim deed is what's going to correct the error of not being recorded. So she's going to have to go to Tara, for instance, and say, Tara, I need you to prepare this. Even though you're not the owner anymore, I need you to prepare this to correct the error. It's not transferring the property, but it's recording the error of me not recording, for instance. Right? That could have happened. If it becomes a little bit more complicated, so the party responsible for encumbering the title refuses to quitclaim interest, then Ruth, in order to be able to fix the problem, she would have to file a quiet title suit. A quiet title suit is literally, it's too noisy, it's too crowded. We need to figure a way to quiet the title or clear the issues or the errors with the title. So it requires the lien order to prove the validity of the interest, and if the defendant is unable to do so, the court removes the title. So Ruth would have to sue Tara, and Tara would have to prove that she's still the owner or has the right to it, and that she never transferred the property, as an example. Right? Or if there's a mortgage that you paid off and they never released the mortgage, okay, if there's a mortgage and they never released the mortgage after you're paying it off, which happens sometimes, that's why when you guys pay off a mortgage, always make sure you have a release of lien. A quiet title would be you suing the bank saying, hey, prove that you still have a claim on the property. Because the balance is zero, they cannot prove, so they have to clear whatever the cloud is and potentially pay for the lawsuit as well. Okay? So overall, the quitclaim covenant is, I may or may not own, and I won't defend at all. Tara, what does it mean when there's a cloud on the title? Okay. Right here. So if you guys remember the word encumbrance, an encumbrance, okay, could be a lien, which is a financial claim. Could be an easement, which is the right that somebody has on your property, like a shared driver, for instance, is an example I can give you. Could be an encroachment, where somebody's illegally extending against your property. It could be a license. License is a permission that you give somebody to do something on your property. So all of these cloud or limit the title. Cloud or limit what you can do. Okay, so the word cloud, the reason why they use cloud is, and the example I always give is, if it's raining, right? If it's raining, if there's a cloud over you and it's raining, it's thundering, whatever, you cannot do everything that you could do on a sunny day, right? So it limits what you can do. It limits the activity. In this case, cloud or an encumbrance limits the title and what you can do in terms of selling the title. Some clouds need to be corrected or released or cleared prior to the transfer, prior to alienation. Like a lien, a mortgage company usually requires that the balances are paid off. Okay? Good? Sarah? Ruth? Consumers? Okay. Good. You see the reason why I keep on repeating certain words? Okay? Very, very important. Sometimes we don't catch it the first time. And it's totally fine. All right, special purpose deeds. So I just want to finish deeds and then, like I said, then we'll go for a quick break. But special purpose deeds. There's a personal representative deed. If you have a will, you are the executor of the estate. That's a personal representative deed. Guardian's deed. If you're appointed as a legal guardian for a minor or somebody that's mentally incompetent, you can sell the property because you have that power. Sheriff's deed, when there's... Sam, I'll give you a break in a second. Why had to be you complaining? Seriously. All right. So sheriff's deed, when there's a foreclosure, public auction, the sheriff is the one that issues the deed. They have the power to do so. Deed of trust is for those states where it's a non-judicial state. So a third party holds title to the property until you finish paying it off, and then they reconvey the property back to you or transfer back to you once you finish paying it off. There's deed in trust, and that's if you created a land trust. That's you appointing somebody else to manage kind of the title of your property. And there's a master deed. The master deed is for condominiums. It covers the whole land. So if you live in a condo, a single title or a single deed was given to you. But in that deed, under the Addendum Clause or Reservation Clause that we talked about earlier, it says, please look at master deed for restrictions. Because there's things that you cannot do in a condo, right? You guys remember this? If you own a condominium, there's an HOA, right? You were asking me before about HOAs, right, Tiana? So that's where it will be. It will refer to the master deed to address the HOAs and the bylaws of the HOA, what you can and cannot do with the property, okay? Otherwise, they would have to repeat so many things. A partition deed, guys. Partition deed. Partition means separation or division. So when you get sued by your partner in a tenant in common or in a joint tenancy, right? You guys remember these? When you get sued by your partner that says, hey, I need my money, I cannot sell, and you're not buying my half, so I'm going to force you to sell the building so we can receive our monies. That's a partition suit. If we're able to separate physically, it's a physical partition. If we are not, then it's a judicial partition where the court forces the sale, for instance. Okay. The next thing we have is a patent deed. Usually it's for government properties when they're being sold to private parties. And the tax deed is when the property is sold at a tax sale. All right. We'll talk about documentary stem tax a different time. All right, guys, so we're going to go into a quick break before some people break. And we come back to wills. It is now 12:07. So we're going to get back at 12:20. So you got 13-minute break. Guys, run. Literally run so you get the blood flowing. Okay? Come back to class, energize. Get your coffee, get your tea, go to the bathroom, go do what you need to do. We'll be back in a few. Whoever's on YouTube, we'll close this session and I'll open one right after. See you guys in a little bit.